Russell Reeves, HVAC Director at Delta Technical College. Alright, basically what we're going to go over today is we're going to go over installation of electric heat strip kit on a air handler. If you notice that with this air handler, it's got a cover plate on the back. It also has a Molex plug where your line voltage comes in, L1 and L2. On a standard air handler, you're just going to basically hook up your line voltage and run only the AC. If you're wanting to install an auxiliary heat source as far as electric heat, you have to unplug the Molex plug that comes factory with the unit, buy a heat kit, a heat strip kit. Notice how it comes with its own breakers, its own heat strips, its own limits as far as high limits and fusible links, and its own sequencers to be able to energize and start the actual elements when you want them to start. Comes with its own Molex plug. We've uninstalled the factory Molex plug. We're going to install the new Molex plug just by plugging it in. If you buy the recommended heat strip kit that goes with that furnace, it will plug straight up to the factory installation harness. Okay? At that point, you can let this just kind of sit right here, prop it up with your leg. You can take your screwdriver and take this black cover plate off. This back cover plate, excuse me. I've already loosened up the screws just for references so we can kind of hurry through this thing. You remove this cover plate, your electric heat strip kit will slide directly into the cavity, and then you would put your screws back into the actual pre-drilled screw holes that you will see in here. Line up your screw holes and install your heat strip kit. You still have to run your line voltage in. With a heat strip kit, anything smaller than 10 kW, you have one breaker. Anything bigger than 10 kW, you go to a dual breaker system. You'll have a breaker for the air handler itself and a breaker for the actual electric heat strip kits. Okay? With these new coils, this is an aluminum coil on this air handler, a GMC Goodman unit. And if you notice on the front cover of the unit, the coil is listed for the pressure of R410A, refrigerant R410A. It is designed with a test pressure of 460 psi-G. In the low side of the system, you should never get that high. But the refrigerant is designed for an R410A coil. I could use this on a 22 system. It's just designed to be able to hold the pressure of R410A. It can still be used for 22. After you get done installing the unit, you would run your line voltage in from the side over here, knock out the knockout, put you a seal-tight waterproof connector on there, a stress relief, and you'll run your line voltage into your disconnect, or excuse me, into your breakers. From your main breaker box, from your main sub-panel of your breaker box on your house, you have to run 2 legs of 240 volts to be able to feed this application. Some units will come with a knockout right here on the side to be able to remove to install your breakers right there on the front. With this unit, this is a multi-positional air handler, meaning I can lay it down on the right, stand it up straight, lay it down on its left. How I do that is I must take the covers off the front. Right now, this drain pan is positioned to be a vertical upflow, or I can lay it down on its right side, and the condensation water will drain into the drain pan, and then we can drain it out through our condensation holes. If I'm going to lay the unit down on the left side, I must pull the coil completely out, take the auxiliary drain pan off this side, flip it around and put it on this side over here to be able to still drain with the unit laid on the left side. After I get done doing that, I want to make sure that every hole I am not using for a condensation drain, I put the plugs back in it so it does not leak water out of them holes. The plugs are real easy to take out. You can use a socket wrench, put it in there, and a socket wrench will take those plugs right out, or you can take a pair of pliers, stick it in there, spread them apart, and twist them, and they'll take the plugs out as well. One thing that I want to make sure of is if you'll come over here and look at the top of this furnace, notice how the airflow is coming directly across the heat strip kit. If air does not go directly across those coils will create hot spots. If those coils create hot spots, they're going to get weak and brittle, they'll overheat, and they will burn in half. Make sure your airflow is directly across your heat strip kit. This is your low voltage wiring on the unit. This is where you're going to run your low voltage. If we were installing this with a heat pump, we'd have wires running from the thermostat to this, from this to the outdoor unit. These are your low voltage connections. Use wire nuts to connect them. And if it's going to be in a type of a wet environment that might have some water doing it, you might want to shoot a little silicone in the end of the wire nut.